Hello everybody, Gisele Grenier here. So this is the last video of the foundation part of the color mixing course and challenge. If there are extra little videos that I have to do as people go through the course and watch the demo videos and tutorials and all that stuff where they need some more help, I will do those as separate videos. So in this particular lesson, you should be if you've gone through the whole course, you should be at this point now. You've chosen what's going in your limited palette and you've chosen what's going in your extended palette. If you know what you want to go in there, but you don't have the paints, let's say you're going to buy them or whatever, that's fine. This lesson, we're going to put everything together into our main palette. And you may want to do this on a large wall chart. There is another lesson that I'm going to do, which really, it's not really part of the foundation part. It's just a way to create a big wall chart to see how colors go together. This lesson is where the colors sit on the color wheel. And when we start going through our specialized palettes for pet portraits, people portraits, landscapes, seascapes, and all that jazz, you're going to be referring to this chart all the time. So you may want to do this as a small version or a large version for your wall. Okay? The colors, it's every color I have with a new one that I've added. Well, not added, it's because substitute. So I've got the Decor Traditions, Phthalo Green Yellow, Phthalo Green Blue, Phthalo Blue, Ultramarine Blue, Red Violet, Quinacridone Violet, Permanent Alizarin Crimson, Naphthol Red Light, Paranone Orange, Hanty Yellow Medium, Hanty Yellow Light. Up here, Quinacridone Burnt Orange, Yellow Oxide, Transparent Yellow Iron Oxide, Raw Sienna, Burnt Sienna, Transparent Red Iron Oxide, which is no longer made by Tradition, so I am going to be substituting it with Quinacridone Gold, Burnt Umber, Raw Umber, and Chromatic Black. So that's, and of course, Titanium White. So let's go through these last colors. Other than Quinacridone Gold, you should already know the properties of these colors. So what I want you to do is I want you to take what you're coming up with your limited palette. Your limited palette must include 2 greens, 2 blues, 2 reds. Back that up. Your limited palette must include 2 blues, 2 reds, 2 yellows, and 2 to 3 earth tones and white. Ignore the green. So your 2 blues, you have to have a blue that leans towards violet and a blue that leans towards green. On the reds, you need a red that leans towards violet and a red that leans towards orange. And on the yellows, you need a yellow that leans towards orange and a yellow that leans towards green. For your neutrals, I've used yellow oxide and burnt sienna for my light and my medium to medium dark. Try not to have more than 2, 3, fine if you have to, but try not to have that many because earth tones you can make with your primaries. But burnt sienna is a key because it can be used for a whole bunch of stuff. So we'll just go through Phthalo Green Yellow. Let's see, sits, where am I going to put these? I'll put them on the inside. Phthalo Green Yellow here. And then I'm just going to take a little bit of white and I'll just put it like this right here. Okay. This color is in the extended palette. Phthalo Green Blue. And this chart here that I'm using with the square grids is not the best choice for creating your color wheel. I'm actually going to make a wall version, but it wouldn't fit on the desk for filming. A little bit of white. So this is a green that leans towards blue. You do not have to have this. This is an extended palette color. Phthalo Blue, a limited palette color. It's a blue that leans towards green. Or am I going to put this right here? Actually, it should go down here. That's why this chart, these square things are not the best to be used for this. And a little bit of white. This is ideal for painting seascapes. It's great for seascapes. Oh, I forgot cerulean blue. Okay, I'll have to... Oh, where did I put it? Oh, it's way up there. I'll have to get it after. Let me just add a bit more white to that, because it's hard to see. Too much water. I may have to let that dry a bit. All right. Ultramarine blue, a blue that leans towards a violet. I'm going to have to put that here. Like I said, not the best way to make this chart, this color wheel. This is a core color for me. Once I'm done all this, I will call out the colors that if I had to have only 10 colors in my palette, what I would use. Red violet. Let's put that right here because it's closer to the blue side. I've just recently swapped this out with quinacridone violet because I like the violets that it makes better than quinacridone violet. Okay. Now quinacridone violet. This is also, it says, although it says quinacridone violet, it's a pigment red. And white. Okay. What's next? Permanent alizarin crimson. Let's put that over here. A red that leans towards violet. And it's an alternative to the pure alizarin crimson, because alizarin crimson fades quickly over time. All right. Naphthol red. Extended palette. I am looking at this. This is a terrible way to do it. There's no consistency. There's no consistency in this. There's no order. There's no order to this chart. Yeah, this isn't working for me. Naphthol red light. Limited palette color. Red that leans towards orange. This one's a funny one. This one's really good for portraits, people portraits. But you know what I call this? I call it a dirty red. Because it has orange in it, it really doesn't mix well with anything else. Unless you're going with yellows and oranges. Let's see. Where are we? Paranoid orange. A clean orange. You can shift it a few different ways. It's bright. Hope you need more white than that. There we go. We have Hansa Yellow Medium. Really get that out of there. Hansa Yellow Medium, a yellow that leans towards orange. I actually should have put that up here. And white. Okay. When it comes to the yellows, sometimes you don't really need to use the add white to see the true underlying color because it's always so easy to see. Hansa yellow, more of a neutral yellow. You can shift this depending on where it sits under certain lighting. hence a yellow light is a yellow that leans towards green. Quite transparent. All right. Now the earth tones are kind of funky because they're really small. So let's go with quinacridone burnt orange, which is in the extended palette, but it really could be in an extended palette. I don't use it a lot, except when I need to make, let's say, alizarin crimson or a variation of transparent red iron oxide. That goes right there. I'm not even going to bother adding white to it. There's just no room. And then we have yellow oxide. Not going to bother adding white because there's no room. Transparent yellow iron oxide, which is, you could say it's a little bit more of an intense version of yellow oxide. There's no room for it. Let's put that right over here. Yeah, gotta make this bigger. Gotta make this bigger. Then we have raw sienna. Right there. And then we have burnt sienna. And then we're going to take transparent red iron oxide. And we're going to add quinacridone gold. And quinacridone gold, which is dried out, goes more down here. It's more orange, but would make a nice substitute for transparent red iron oxide. And then we have burnt umber, which I didn't write on here. There's just no room for everything. Burnt umber goes, we'll put that right about here. And then we have raw umber, which goes right about here because it slightly leans towards green. And then we have carbon black. Right in the middle. And of course, white. Right there. So, that's a pretty sucky color wheel. I tell you that. With all these colors, if I could only have 3, 4, 5. If I could only have 5 colors, 5, 5, 5. I had to pick 5. I would pick Naphtha Red Light, Handsy Yellow Medium, Ultramarine Blue, White, that's 4, and Burnt Sienna as 5. With Naphtha Red Light, Handsy Yellow Medium, Ultramarine Blue, I can get the majority of the colors that I need. Where Naphtha Red Light, Handsy Yellow Medium lean towards orange, Ultramarine Blue leans more towards violet. There's red in violet. There's red in orange, so it kind of leans towards this way. Blue is still opposite on the color wheel, but they kind of go better together. With the burnt sienna is great because I can neutralize stuff, and then white, of course, to change values. And I can get something close to black by mixing all the primaries together. So I could do any painting I wanted to with those 5 colors. That's all I need, those 5 colors. In saying that, it's a lot harder to get realistic colors if I'm trying to color match something. If you're doing something abstract or from memory or whatever, then fine, you can use those 5 colors. But if you're wanting to color match, or let's say if you wanted to paint, I don't know, a Springer Spaniel, or a boxer of a certain color, or a German Shepherd, they've got these unique color, a blue heeler. There's unique colors in there where if you've got, and I'll just, a husky, where the eyes are more on the blue-violet, using a blue that leans towards green just isn't going to work. So this is where you now come in where, yep, I've got those primaries, but let's add the other primaries that lean the other way on the color wheel. Now all of a sudden you have much more flexibility on how you want to mix your colors. Even to that point, let's say you're painting a seascape And with the seascape, I can make cerulean blue, which I didn't get. Let me get that now. Cerulean blue, we'll put that right over there. So let's say you're painting a seascape. You can make cerulean blue very easily with phthalo blue, a little bit of phthalo green if you want a bit on the green side, and white. You start off with white, then you add the blues. The difference is cerulean blue has very weak tinting strength. It doesn't take much to really knock it down. But to make cerulean blue out of phthalo blue, phthalo green, and white, I could get so much more paint out of that. Very, very strong. Requires a lot more work for mixing with the phthalo colors. Cerulean blue is ready to go, and although the label says opaque, this one's transparent. So if you're wanting something that's really soft, easy to use on the first shot, yeah, cerulean blue. But cerulean blue is a more expensive pigment, where the phthalo colors are less expensive and will go much further. To explain, if a bottle of cerulean blue will last me 10 paintings, to make cerulean blue out of phthalo blue, green, blue, and white will last me 100 paintings. Because these are so strong, I need very little of these pigments. Okay. Okay, so we went over the 5 pigments that I would choose if I had to have any 5 paints. The reason why you would add the other colors that lean the other way on the color wheel, so you have one that leans both ways. So a blue that leans towards green, a blue that leans towards violet, a red that leans towards violet, a red that leans towards orange, a yellow that leans towards orange, and a yellow that leans towards green. Your limited palette. Then your neutrals and white. Then you've got your extended palette, adding in your cerulean blue if you want, adding in your green, adding in your neutral yellow, your neutral red, and your red violet or your red violet. Okay, adding those in. I would probably even cross out quinacridone violet. I might put that in the extended palette where I don't use it a lot. Now, this quinacridone violet, which is PR122, is a great substitution for a permanent alizarin crimson if you don't have this. This is a great alternative. Okay. And then you've got your earth tones. You know, really burnt sienna is all you need, but having all the other ones just makes your job a lot easier. The earth tones, if you're a landscape painter, you like painting pet portraits, the earth tones are something that's going to be really, really useful for you. If you're into people portrait paintings, of course, more the orangey tones, depending if you're painting Caucasian skin, you're going to need a little bit more of the greens if you're going into olive skin, and you're going to need more of the let's say maybe even the burnt oranges, burnt siennas, burnt umbers. If you're going to paint African American skin, there's all these different skin tones that are so just beautifully enhanced by shifting the colors a little bit. Then we have landscapes, we have seascapes, we have still life, we have floral. There's all these different things. But you don't have to go out and buy extra paint for these. Between the combination of your limited and extended palette, you can paint any subject with the same paints. The only exception is if you need to make something that's so precise, that's when I would go to that extra stash of paint that I never use. Let's see, if I needed Indian yellow, I would go to that. But rarely is there ever a need to go to those colors. Okay, so everything I have here is all in. Now, do I always have these colors out when I'm painting? No way, no way, no way. I never use all these colors at once. I look at what I'm painting, and then I choose what palette I'm going to use. So if I'm going to use something that's primarily, if I'm going to paint a person, let's say I'm going to do a portrait of, I don't know, my new grandbaby. I have an idea what my grandbaby is going to look like if I take what Harrison looks like and what Jules looks like. I know that I'm going to go with Naphthol red light, Hansa yellow medium. I may pull in maybe a little bit of phthalo green yellow to sallow the skin tone under the neck for a shadow. So then I wouldn't need all the other colors unless it's for a blanket or a crib or depending on where I'm painting that portrait. So you're really going to only need the colors that you need, but you're only going to have to pull from this stash. And even that, you may want to narrow it down even more. All right. So I hope that you enjoyed the foundation part of the color mixing course and challenge. The next series we're going to be getting into, the next set, is creating our specialized palettes. And once we create our specialized palettes, we're going to go into also some techniques. We're going to be going over a glazing technique, which is a request by Michael Lamb. We're going to go through that. And there's going to be another wall chart that I'm going to be making. I'm going to show you how I made it. I'm not going to do it on camera because it won't fit on the table. And then you can use that as an idea. All right, so as with all the other lessons, comments and post your pictures of your chart below. Also let me know what brands of paint, the pigments, the pigment numbers, if you know what they are, what's in them. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you need to go to the description below, click the link to go to the community and post everything over there because you can't post in YouTube. Alrighty. So that's it, you guys. I'm going to clean up and take a well-deserved break. Joe just told me he booked our trip to the Bahamas. Bye. Alrighty, so until I see you in the next series, which will be part 2 of the color mixing course and challenge, stay inspired.